We are back at our workstation. Now you can see that we have our mostly cooked bacon. We have our pan over here that has our 2 tablespoons of bacon grease with all of the dregs from the bacon. I didn't want just the bacon grease. I might as well keep all of the yummy goodness that it put in there as well. So let's talk about our ingredients. We have our cooked, or 90% cooked bacon cut into small pieces. We have a ½ cup of brown sugar. I have my balsamic vinegar. For my coffee, I usually use coffee that I've left on the burner after morning so that it can cook down and give me a stout coffee. And then I have my 2 onions and my maple extract. So we're going to get started on this. The first thing I'm going to do is chop the onions. Then I'll put them straight in the bowl. I will cut one end off. I'll cut the other side off and discard those. Then I will cut it in half, and I will peel the outside layers. So there's a membrane in here that makes your eyes tear up. So I usually try and get just below that membrane so that the membrane, and I'll show it to you because it really showed up nicely today. So see this really, really thin piece right here? That's one of the things that makes you tear up when you're cutting onions. So I'm going to discard that. And I'm going to grab the other side of this, and I'm going to peel this one as well. And again, you can see that membrane right there. I'll peel that off and discard it. Now, it also helps if you're not right over the onion when you're cutting. Sometimes you have to be. You have to be on top of it because you're cooking or whatever. Now for the red onion or purple onion, depending on what you call it, I'm going to cut off both ends. That will make it sit flat. Discard these pieces. And then I'm going to cut it in half. Knife safety is a completely different video, so we're not going to go into all that, but you'll see that I hold things a certain way to protect my fingers. See, here's that membrane on this one that showed up nicely, so I could show you. Peel that off. And if you have a bad piece on your onion, this has a little bit of a rotten piece. It doesn't make the rest of the onion rotten, so I'm just going to nip that off with the knife. Toss that in the bin. We're good to go. So now I'm going to peel this one. Now I want to remind you when you're working on any of my videos, if you get your recipe and pre-measure ahead of time, you can set the video to go, and you can, I'm going to take this off while we're talking, you can actually stop and go and make this along with me because you're in control of the video, which makes it really nice. Okay, so just a little bit more, and I think this probably got frozen a little bit. Also, I want to share with you, in the middle of an onion, as you can see, this is starting to root. You can actually eat this part. It just has a little bit of a sharper flavor than a regular onion. So with sweet onions, that works okay. I'm going to cut these little wedges instead of dicing it because I want it to be really, really pretty in onion slivers. But you can also make it into diced onions if you like. Depends on how you want to serve it, if you want it to be stringy or if you want it to be diced. So if I were making my German potato salad, this is what I would do. And I'll put this on here to chop it in just a minute. So I'll cut this around in wedges. Everybody has their own methods of cutting. I did not go to a culinary school for them to say this is the right way or this is the wrong way. So this is my way. And I just rotate it along the board, and I have that board meet up with my knife edge as I work around it. I'm going to be able to see it better on the white onion as I turn it. It gives me a rigid surface to cut against. Keep my fingers out of the way. So the idea is to keep that knife working downward and away from your hands and fingers. And you notice I curl my fingers, keep them out of the way. But I like the onion slivers in so many things that I make. And now that I'm thinking about it as I'm talking to you, I think I'm going to chop these because these are going to be canned. And they're going to be given, I don't know how my my recipients are going to use it. So if I do it chopped, it can be easily served on burgers without any issues. So I work with, like I said, people who have disabilities, struggles with cooking. So I'm just going to dice this way, and you can put your hand on the end and cut it this way. Keep your hands completely free of it. But in this particular instance for chopping onions, my father, he actually, with Parkinson's, chopping an onion would take him a very long time. It's a very controlled action, so we figured out we could get chopped onions already chopped from his local grocer. So he orders his onions in chopped already, and that works out pretty well for most dishes, as long as you're not going for a presentation look because you need them cut a certain way. If you just need chopped onions, check with your grocer, check in the produce department, and find out that they already have them chopped for you, and then you can measure out whatever you need and have that part taken care of. My aunt will sit in front of the television set in the afternoon or wherever she is, whatever she's doing when she's at home, and she'll do her cutting and stuff rather than have idle hands. She was a big person for doing needlepoint and stuff like that, so this is something that she can do and use her time wisely, and you can too, if you have the time to be home and cut things and have it prepped at another time. Okay, so we're pretty good here as far as chopped. And don't ever do what I'm doing. I'm not responsible for how you handle your knife. But I'm going to use this transfer tool, and I'm going to put everything in here. Now, I do use flexible mats. I could pick up the mat and just pour it in. But this is just as easy for me as well. I can really control how much lands in it and how much lands on my board. As you can see, how you get in a hurry, you end up with stuff all over everywhere. But I'm going to pick it up like this. I'm going to clean this knife off with my transfer tool and set it aside. And now I can pick it up and I can flex it and put it right in if I want to. And it's a really full board. It doesn't work as well as you might like. But this also allows you to clean your transfer tool off, and you're all ready to go to the next step. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to cook this onion until it is soft. And then once we reach that, we'll add the bacon back in. We'll add the brown sugar once these are soft, and we'll add all the ingredients except for the balsamic vinegar. So we will work through that a little bit at a time. So let me go put this on the stove, and we'll follow up in a little bit.